Hello, everybody. This is Joe from PrepAgent. La 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 la, me. Just getting ready for the webinar. I was just clearing my throat so I sound beautiful. So we are ready to go. Sound check done. And today we are doing valuation and market analysis. Oh, it looks like some of the screen is off. Let me fix that for you guys. There we go. That is there. And we're off. Can we all hear me? Okay, so today we are doing valuation and market analysis. Who was here yesterday? Anybody here yesterday? Who was on yesterday's webinar? If you were on yesterday's webinar, tell me one thing that you learned yesterday. I want to hear one thing that you learned. Tell me one thing that you learned from yesterday's webinar. Come on, guys, tell me you learned something. What did you guys learn from yesterday's webinar? The topic we did yesterday was transfer of property. Liz says a judgment lien. We did talk about judgment liens. And we said a judgment lien is a general involuntary lien, which means they can take all your property. Good. Okay, well, today we're doing valuation and market analysis. And when you start with value, what must come to mind? What do you guys think? What must come to mind? What must come to mind when we talk about value? What must come to mind when we talk about value? Anybody? So what I'm looking for here is the 4 essential elements of value. Stud. Nice job, Chantel Simmons. Great job there. So we want the 4 essential elements of value. You can remember as stud, dust, tizida, for all I care. I don't know, whatever you guys want, as long as you remember the 4 essential elements of value. Tell me what those essential elements are. What does stud stand for? What do you guys think? It stands for scarcity, transferability, utility, and demand. Scarcity, transferability, utility, and demand. How many of you guys have taken a live class where the teacher said dust and you were like, dust is lame. I prefer stud, way better. They said, remember the acronym DUST, and you're like, lame. What a lame acronym. Nobody likes dust. Everybody likes a stud. Okay, so scarcity, transferability, utility, and demand. Okay, that's what it stands for. Scarcity, how much of there is it? Transferability, can you sell it? Utility, can you use it? And demand, do people even want it? All right. That is super important. Okay, somebody mentioned ad valorem. That's Latin for according to value. That's more for tax purposes, though, than for appraisal purposes. When you guys have appraisals, there's different ways you can find the value. What are the different methods of appraising property? Anybody know? What are the different ways to appraise property? What are the different methods that we learn as we study for our real estate exam? What do you guys think? So you got the cost approach, the income approach, and the comparative approach, market data comparison approach, okay? So you got those 3 methods: cost replacement approach, income approach, and market data approach. Right, guys? Okay, what is the market data approach? What is the market data approach? What do you guys think is the market data approach? What's that all about? So the market data approach is when you are comparing properties, okay, of like kind. This is the most common one used for your average residential real estate agent. Okay, when you hear people doing comps, that's what this is, the market data approach, where people are doing comps. They're saying that house looks like my house, and if it's 500 grand, then mine must be 600 grand because I have way nicer carpeting. Okay? So that is the market data approach. Okay, next you have the cost replacement approach. What's that one? What's the cost replacement approach? What do you guys think? What's the cost replacement approach? The cost replacement approach tells you how much it would cost to replace it brand new. Literally just how much it would cost to rebuild it. That's essentially what it is. And the capitalization income approach calculates how the value is related to how much income the building would bring in. It turns income into value, okay? So those are the three main approaches. Gross rent multiplier is a form of the capitalization income approach, in case some of you guys were thinking about the gross rent multiplier. It's a simplified version of the capitalization income approach. Let's look at a question on the board. If the appraisal of residential property, the cost approach is most appropriate in the case of an A, old property, B, middle-aged property, C, new property, or D, multifamily property. What do you guys think? In the appraisal of residential property, the cost approach is appropriate in the case of an A, old property, B, middle-aged property, C, new property, or D, multifamily property. And the answer is C, new property. Okay, you're replacing it brand new, so obviously it's better for finding the value of a new property, not an old one. Move right along. An appraiser who uses improper methods to appraise a property for a government-backed loan may be guilty of A, a warning, B, a felony, C, a misdemeanor, D, violating real estate license law. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? The answer is a felony. The appraisal approach most likely to be used in valuing a public library building would be A, residual, B, income, C, market, or D, cost. And the answer is D, cost. Why? Because you can't really do comparative because nothing really compared to, and it doesn't bring in income, so the income approach isn't going to work. So you use the cost replacement approach. This library is what we would call a special purpose property. Okay, things like libraries, schools, police stations, they're special purpose properties. If the value of a property is affected by negative forces outside the property, which are beyond the control of the owner, this is referred to as A, none of the other options are correct, B, economic obsolescence, C, physical deterioration, or D, functional obsolescence. Okay, and the answer is economic obsolescence. So we're talking about depreciation. How do you define depreciation? How do you guys define depreciation? How do you define depreciation? Depreciation is loss in value for any cause. Okay, loss in value from any cause. What are the ways your property could depreciate? What are the different ways your property can depreciate? Okay, there's 3 categories of depreciation. I'll give you a hint. They're on the board. So what are the 3 categories of depreciation? So you guys have economic obsolescence, physical deterioration, and functional obsolescence. It's right on the board there, guys. Economic obsolescence, physical deterioration, and functional obsolescence. Can you guys give me an example of economic obsolescence? Can you guys give me an example of economic obsolescence? What is an example of economic obsolescence? Congratulations, Drew Hewitt, on passing. Great job. We will look for you in El Cajon, California. So an example of economic obsolescence would be airports, good. Airplane flying over. A mall being put next to your property. Some people like that, some people don't. Gas stations, crime in the neighborhood, things of that nature. Can you guys give me an example of physical deterioration? Physical deterioration. Can you guys give me an example of physical deterioration? Who could give me an example of physical deterioration? Okay, leaky roof. Good job, Rosanna. Fading paint, things of that nature. Good stuff, guys. Okay, and functional obsolescence. Can you guys give me an example of functional obsolescence? Five bedrooms with 1 bathroom. That'd be a good example of functional obsolescence. Good job, everybody. We're moving right along. So if you guys would not mind supporting us, follow us, share our Instagram profile. We're putting out a lot of good information. And if we hit 10,000, there's a lot more we could do with links to videos and things of that nature. Instagram has different rules for people who have 10,000 subscribers. That'd be very exciting. As Adrian said, help us make our dreams come true. The whole reason we started this business was to have 10,000 subscribers on Instagram. That's why. Okay. Which of the following is not a physical characteristic of land? A, scarcity. B, indestructibility. C, uniqueness. Or D, immobility. Just kidding, guys. My whole goal is not Instagram followers, but it is a bonus. And the answer is A, scarcity. Whew, land is becoming more scarce these days. Overpopulation and whatnot. You guys travel, you notice traffic's getting worse like in every city you go to, no matter across the U.S. or even across the world. Traffic just seems to be getting worse and worse. Okay, an appraiser was hired by Joe to appraise Bill's property. With whom should the appraiser discuss his findings? A, Bill. B, any interested party. C, any party willing to pay. Or D, Joe. Okay, the answer is D, Joe. They discuss it with a hired party. When an appraiser correlates the three approaches into a final estimate, he A, reconciles the difference according to the type of property being appraised and the quantity and quality of the data available. B, selects the estimate nearest that desired by the employer. C, averages the estimate. Or D, accords the greatest weight to the median value. What do you guys think? You guys are amazing. Excuse me. The answer is A, reconciles the difference according to the type of property being appraised and the quantity and quality of the data available. Okay, tomorrow we're here at 4 o'clock California time, 7 o'clock East Coast time, and tomorrow is Adrian Day. Don't forget, Thursdays is when Adrian's on the mic. So that's exciting as always. Adrian, are you excited for your Thursday afternoon webinars? Okay, move right along. An appraiser's narrative appraisal report of a single-family residence probably would contain no reference to A, the neighborhood amenities, B, a special studies zoning map, C, the appraiser's qualifications, or D, a buyer's financing. What do you guys think? And the answer is D, because the way you pay for a property has no relevance to the value of the property itself. Just call me angel, a fallen angel. Okay, what is the best way to appraise a land site? A, allocation, B, residual, C, capitalization, or D, income? What do you guys think? What is the best way to appraise a land site? Okay, the answer is A, allocation. Good. An appraiser using the gross rent multiplier will consider which of the following? A, market price of comparables and adjustment to the subject. B, capitalization and net operating income. C, market value and potential rent income. Or D, rental income and market value. What do you guys think? And the answer is D, rental income and market value. An increase in the appraised value of property, which is considered an unearned increment, would most probably result from A, management expense, B, capital improvements, or C, increase in amenities, or D, increase in population. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let's see. And the answer is D, increase in population. Increase in population. Good. How's my sound today? I'm feeling good. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I moved to a new place a few weeks ago, and my sound's been pretty flawless since then. Although I'm thinking a lot of you guys have not been with us that long, so you weren't here when I was struggling with echoes and all that. And then Adrian always had to step in like mid-webinar. But I moved to this new place, new office. Okay, all the following characteristics of value except A, obsolescence, B, utility, C, transferability, or D, scarcity. All the following are characteristics of value except A, obsolescence, B, utility, C, transferability, or D, scarcity. Remember we went over the 4 essential elements of value: scarcity, transferability, utility, and demand. Obsolescence is a form of depreciation, not a form of value. That's that whole stud dust thing that we went over before. A pizza parlor rents space in a rental shopping center. Its owner bolts a large iron pizza oven to a floor to cook the pizza. The oven is an A, trade fixture, B, rental fixture, C, fixture, or D, real property. What do you guys think? And the answer is A, trade fixture. All the following factors would be important in comparing properties under the sales comparison approach to value, except A, difference in size of the improvements in land, B, difference in dates of sale, C, difference in original cost, or D, difference in appearance and condition. Oh, Cynthia, looks like you got to check your connection. Answer is C, differences in original cost. Let's take a vote right now in the spirit of democracy. Who here would like to keep doing this section, do questions and valuation market analysis, or who would like to jump to some vocabulary review, some flashcard vocabulary review, and go over some concepts? Write either vocab or questions. Your choice, vocab or questions. Okay, looks like got some vocab flashcard thing here. Let's go with that. Boom, go to my account, bam. Fiduciary duty. So with the vocab, as we know, you write in the words as fast as you can. Fiduciary duty. Fiduciary duty. What is the fiduciary duty all about? Loyalty. Fiduciary duty is about loyalty. Okay. Professional responsibility to act truthfully and in good faith when you're dealing with your client. What is the difference between a client and a customer? A client you owe loyalty to and you're basically acting on their behalf. A customer you're just selling something to. So when you see a house being sold, the listing agent, the seller's their client, and the buyer is their customer. Also, a client and a principal are the same thing, in case you guys didn't know that. Okay, antitrust laws. What are they all about? Referring to the Sherman Antitrust Act. What is that all about? Sherman Antitrust Act. Antitrust laws. What's that all about? So that has to do with creating fair market competition. That's the Sherman Antitrust Act, fair market competition. It prevents things like price fixing, group boycotting, things of that nature. Good. Joint tenancy. I haven't mentioned this one in a while. What is joint tenancy? Who knows? Joint tenancy. Joint tenancy is a form of cooperative ownership. The other one would be a tenant in common. And with a joint tenancy of the four unities of time, title, interest, and possession, and as many of you guys are saying, you also have the right of survivorship. Meaning, if one of the other joint tenants dies, the remaining joint tenants get the property, as it cannot be willed. As with a tenancy in common, you could will it. Which one is more common, the tenancy in common or joint tenancy? What do you guys think? Which one is the more common one you'll see? Joint tenancy or tenancy in common? What do you guys think? And the answer to that would be tenancy in common. It's right there in the name, common. Because there's much less unities needed. Tenancy in common just need possession. Joint tenancy is something really you do with close family or friends because everything is unified. Some states even use it for married couples. They'll use joint tenancy. Okay, so joint tenancy is much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Has many more requirements and many more ramifications. That's a better word. Many more ramifications if the two people go their own way. Is that a good word? Ramifications? I feel like it's a good word. Okay, blind ad. What's a blind ad? A blind ad is when there is no broker's name. Blind ads when there's no broker's name. So just so you guys know, when you use our program, I was actually putting together a video about this. I wanted to share this with you guys. These webinars you guys should be doing every day. If you can't attend it, listen to the recording. You guys all have access to it. You guys are premium members. You should listen to it every day. It gives you a good concept of the, it gives you a more general overview of the concepts, put everything into context, and it helps you understand things. For process of studying, use our vocabulary worksheet system first. Do not do any questions until you master that vocabulary worksheet system. Meaning you could write in all the vocabulary without any assistance. Everybody promise me, do not do the questions until you've mastered the vocabulary. Everybody got it? Do not do the questions until you master the vocabulary. I promise you guys need to trust me. The questions will fall into place a lot quicker if you do the vocabulary first. Okay? People want to just jump to the questions. And when you do that, what happens is you end up in an exercise of frustration. And a lot of people just end up memorizing the questions after a while. That's not going to help because you don't know exactly what questions you're going to get on your exam. Okay? So we try and get the concepts across. If you understand the vocabulary, then you're able to pick out key words, key things in the questions, and you become much more efficient in doing the questions from there. Has everybody got that? And also, when you do the questions without understanding what you're doing, you're looking at wrong information, meaning those wrong answers. Only one of the answers is correct. And you're sitting there contemplating wrong information, which means it will stick in your head. And when you take your exam, you won't always remember which one's the right and which one was the wrong. You just remember you thought about it and read it over and over again. So that's very dangerous. When you do the vocabulary, that doesn't happen. Does that make sense, everybody? The other thing I wanted to tell you is do not move on to a section until you're getting 80% or above on the previous section. Meaning, do not move on from property ownership until you're getting 80% on property ownership. Once you do that, you can move on to transfer of property. Once you get 80% there, master exams, and so on and so on. Do not change a section until you're getting 80%. All right? And once you get 80% or above on all the exams consistently, then and only then you do the master exam. After you get 80% or above on the master exam, guess what you're going to do? You're going to go back and fill out that vocabulary again. Does everybody got it? Follow a process with this, please. Don't just randomly sit there and push buttons on the computer doing questions. Does everybody get that? Don't just sit there and just randomly push buttons. Have a process. Have a strategy. These flashcards you're looking at right now are really good for when you're waiting online at the post office or watching your kid's game, even though you're not really watching. Okay, Arthur built this to be really good on mobile devices. Okay, so these work really well on mobile. So use these flashcard system when you're on mobile. I use them now for our webinar because it works well for my purpose of the webinar. For you guys, it works really well when you're on the go and you're sitting around to look at the flashcards. Okay? So make sure you follow that process and you guys will be fine. All right? Okay, well, that's it for today. And I will see you guys Friday. Adrian will be there tomorrow. I'll be on the chat tomorrow. Adrian will be doing the webinar tomorrow afternoon. I hope you guys have a great day. This is Joe from PrepAgent, and I'll see you then. Thanks, guys.